Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Iceman and Bob, Tech and Gaming. We're looking at the package for the rear Mustang Mach-E Pony Light version 2. Let's go ahead and open this thing up and see what we got. Some pretty nice contents the way that this is packed. I really like how it was presented. You have all the information that you need to see, and of course that's where you can go to buy the version 2 for the Mustang Mach-E rear pony light. So what we're looking at now, we just saw the actual emblem itself. I want to show you the package contents in the box. And here we have the actual pony light itself. As you can see, it looks just like the OEM. It's the same quality as OEM, and you got all your cables and everything that you need attached right there. And then what we have here is the actual reverse light wire. This is the wire you're going to use if you decide to hook up to your reverse light, again, if you decide. And then this is the harness here that attaches to the OEM brake light or tail light, and that's all the connections, as you can see. And then this is going to be our wire splicer if, again, you decide to attach the rear brake reverse light. That's only for the reverse light. All right, so what we're looking at right now, these are some of the main tools that you're going to need. Basically have a hair blow dryer. That's a panel removal tool kit that you see here. And then we also have an emblem removal toolkit. In my rushing, I forgot to use this kit, but please make sure that you use it when you actually remove any emblems. It will avoid an issue that you're going to see come up later on in this particular video. And again, this is just some type of heat gun or blow dryer. All right, so what you're going to do is take your blow dryer and you're going to just take your time with this. You're going to heat up the emblem. You're just going to apply heat around the emblem in different spots. It may take you some time. My emblem is fairly new. Yours might be older. Depends on if it's cold when you're doing the install, if it's warm or hot. A lot of different factors, but take your time. And as you can see, I'm just going around to different areas of the emblem, and then I'm checking it to see if it feels loose. What will happen is after a certain amount of time, you're going to notice that the emblem will begin to loosen. And that's when you know that you have gotten everything up to the correct temps. Now, this may take you a couple of minutes. It may take you maybe as long as close to 10 minutes, we could say. It just depends. But again, you use your judgment, you use your discretion, and you determine how long you actually need to heat up your pony emblem. I believe at this time I was somewhere approaching getting close to about 5 minutes. The total process for me in terms of heating up my emblem took somewhere around 10 minutes. This isn't exact. I wasn't actually measuring it, but if I had to go off the guessometer, that's what I would say. It was somewhere around 10 minutes. So if it takes you about that amount of time, don't be alarmed. Again, you just want to take your time with this process. Do not rush this process. Once the pony is hot enough, the adhesive will begin to loosen up and you won't have any problems removing your emblem. And as you can see, I started to go to the actual pony head side versus the tail side. It may work the other way around for you, but for me, I was actually able to get the pony head side loose first, as you can see. So whichever side you get loose first, just continue to apply heat. And the key to this is you want to use your actual emblem removal tool. Maybe if you don't have that, you can use dental floss. You don't actually want to do what you see me doing, other than perhaps using the panel removal tool to get you some leverage underneath to allow the heat from the hair dryer or blowgun or what have you to get underneath there and loosen up the emblem. Now I'm deliberately letting the video play as long as it is during this process so you can get an idea again how long it takes or it took me. I just want to do this for reference sake. This is a full video. I can do a shorter video if you all like, but nonetheless I wanted to give you all an idea on how long it takes. It's not really long, but you just need to be patient. I cannot stress being patient enough. Now, what you're seeing, this is what you don't want to do. All right. You do not want to use an actual auto trim removal tool to remove your emblem. You want to actually use an emblem removal tool or dental floss or something similar. Something that will not cause any damage and will not bring any harm to your paint. What's happening here is because of the heat from the heat gun, the paint has been heated up to a very high temperature, and this makes it very loose. Now, you see the damage that was done here. This is why you do not want to use your auto trim removal tool.
All right, so now we're removing the original pony. So this particular client actually backed our brake light pony. So this, most of it is already pretty loose. Gonna have to get the other side as well. But if you didn't, then you're going to have to get yourself some wire emblem removal tape. And you see how I'm just taking off the adhesive off. And this one's pretty much off. Got some up the top. And just like that, everything's off of this one. Now yours may have a little bit more adhesive because the original pony has more stuff, and this is, again, this is the brake light pony we're replacing. All right, so to get off the adhesive, if you have any, just spray some Goo Gone. And I already sprayed some, I soaked it already. Let it sit for like a couple of minutes, and then get a rag, and you should be able to, what I'm doing is just getting off that last bit of adhesive. And what you're going to realize is that once you spray it one time, there's still going to be some adhesive stuff, so go ahead and give it another one. Let it soak for a little bit. And then it should come off. So once you get all that clunk off, which I did a pretty good job of, I'm gonna go grab a brand new rag, or in this instance, a paper towel. And then get some rubbing alcohol, because you need this area to be nice and clean, but also to be so that when we apply the new pony, it will secure nicely. This will get up all that dirt.
All right, so if you are going to use the auto trim removal tool or something similar, you want to do what you see here. Use painter's tape. All right. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the actual paint will be very hot, as well as the pony emblem will be very hot. And so as you can see, it just popped right off for me as I was trying to remove it. It's no problem if it does. It's not going to break or do anything, but just be aware of that. I wanted to capture this so that you can be aware of it if it catches you off guard. Now, at this point in time, what we're doing is we're removing all of the adhesive that might be left from the original pony. And just take your time with this. The best thing to do here is to use your actual fingernail. If you wanted to spray something like Goo Gone or something similar, again, it wants to be a non-abrasive type of thing that you spray on here or you use. You don't want to use anything abrasive here, all right? But nonetheless, if that's what you choose to do, you can do that. In my particular situation, after applying so much heat, the adhesive was already pretty loose. And what you can do is you can almost use your fingernails to scrape the adhesive off in one go. Like, it will kind of clump up and stick together, and you can almost peel it off. So just take your time. That's what you see me doing. I wanted to show you roughly the type of time frame it takes so that you don't rush. Again, do not rush, do not rush, do not rush with this. I was actually under a time constraint, and I actually did begin to rush. So whenever you're working on vehicles, don't rush. If you rush, you're liable to make mistakes, just like I made earlier with nicking the paint. And again, for anyone that may wonder, yes, I did actually repair the paint, but that was just another process, and it took me a couple of days later to restore everything back to factory. So to avoid that, you may not have that type of skill set, you may not have access to being able to do that, etc., etc. Just follow the steps and the safety protocols that you see here and that I put in place. You can kind of hear how the adhesive is coming off together, almost as if a clump is coming up. That's basically how it would come off. But there will be some straggling pieces, so just get the stragglers and scrape them off with your fingernail. And as you can see, you shouldn't need any type of removal in terms of like liquids or anything like that, but it's your choice. If you want to spray some, hey. If you don't, hey, it works just the same. Now, I know other people, when they do their videos and show you how to do the installs, they'll cut all of this out. I'll show you a short condensed version of this. I literally wanted to have the full video out so you, again, can get an idea of the type of time frame. Just take your time. It may take you a moment. For many of you, this is your first time doing this and installing an emblem or doing any type of similar work. So again, take your time, Do not rush. If you gotta rush, if you're under time constraints, if you've never done this before, I would suggest doing this at another time, or perhaps at the very least asking for help. And at this time, you can see that I'm peeling some of the tape back so that I can get to those areas where the adhesive might have been underneath the tape. Now again, I'm going to show you 2 steps that I forgot to record because I was frustrated that I nicked my paint. And that's something that I usually don't ever do. So it happens to everyone. It even got the best of us.
That we need to note is that you need to take off this clip. There should be 2 from the original pony. And it'll come right off. So I've already loosened it and loosened it again. So I'm just grabbing it from the top part. So it's basically clipped in, but as you can see, I'm just kind of wedging the scissor. We're going to end up reusing that in this little clip here, but we're not going to do it yet because we're not ready to install it completely. But you should be able to put this in here, so allow you to clip this in addition to the 3M tape. But we'll set this aside for now. What we need to do at this point is to remove all these panels here. I've done that many times on different videos. You really just pull and the clips will come off. Set these aside. Side as well. If you can't pop them off, you have to reach your hands behind it to feel for the latch, and then similarly feel for the latch over here. A lot of times the latch is just hanging off to the last spots. So this is off as well. Keep going on this side. Focus more on this side. So just pull. And then unclip up here. We're going to unclip up here. And if it's not coming off, reach behind. Reach for the clips. Loosen the clips. And it'll come off. It's basically these 2 clips. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. But we're talking about these 2 clips here. So, I'm going to go ahead and take it back off of that. And go back onto the vehicle. So now the whole thing is off. Almost the whole thing, right? Because we still have this back panel piece. Now when you are removing this back panel piece, make sure you don't pull too hard, but just pull enough. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can change the angle while I'm doing this. Because there is a cable that we need to disconnect. This cable is for the trunk light. So if you pull too hard, you're might rip it off. So this is that cable that we talked about. Set this aside. And now your entirety of your trunk is exposed.
All right, so now that we have that done, you can go ahead and just take a look at how everything is set up. All right. And just kind of want to give you a visual so you can see how everything is supposed to look. Now, you want to make sure you have all the clips on each of the panel pieces before you proceed forward. So if anything is stuck on your actual lift gate, just go back and look. Again, these are my paint nick spots. I'm going to have this repaired. By the time you're watching this video, it's already repaired, and I did it myself. Nonetheless, so what we're looking at is the actual emblem, okay? And you're going to slide the wires of your pony emblem through the slots in the lift gate. You want both of the cables going through in the same spot. Should only be 2 slots, one for the wires, and then the other side is actually going to be where you would place the clip to hold the pony emblem in place. And once you get it done like that, you can see that it would sit as shown. It would just sit right there on your lift gate. All right, so right now we're going to look at where the wires came through, and that's essentially what you can see up in here. You can see the wires from the actual pony emblem. That's what it looks like when you get it through the lift gate. So I'm just grabbing those and pulling those down so it'll be easy to see and reach to them a little bit later. Okay, those are the 2 cables, as you can see in my hand. All right, so right here, this is where the factory wiring is, and this is where you're going to take the harness to connect from the kit. All right, you're going to connect it right there. Once you disconnect that, it's just clipped in. So once you pull the tabs and release the clips, you'll be able to separate the factory harness wiring. And then what you're going to do is take the actual wiring harness from the pony kit. And you can only attach it one way, but I'm showing you. You're just going to attach it as such. You can hear it snap in, attach the other piece. It'll be male to female, female to male. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so that one is clicked in. All right. And I just want to give you a close-up shot so you can see all the wires and what it looks like once it's attached. All right, so what we're looking at is the location right here. This is the piece that you're going to have to release with your lift gate. All right. This is in order to install the reverse light with the pony kit. If you're not doing that, you can essentially just attach the cable above and you just want it to light up red, and that's it, and you could be done with it. However, this is the full install. So in order to install the reverse cable, you're going to have to release this particular area. It is like a little plastic ring. You can see that light gray ring. It is plastic, so be very careful trying to release that. But that's the area where you're going to have to end up feeding the wire through. So now we have to release it on the bottom end. Okay, just again, be very careful. Take your time with this. That is a plastic piece that holds that rubber grommet, or what you want to call it, in. So if you move too quickly or you use too much muscle, too much power into it, you could damage that piece. And you can hear it click, and that side's released. So both the top and the bottom ends are released. Now at this particular time, you're going to take your reverse wire and you're going to have to feed the connector in of the reverse wire from the kit. This is from the pony kit. Feed that reverse wire through from the bottom end, okay? And it's going to have to go all the way through that grommet that you just released and go through the top end. Now, it's very tricky to get through with just the wire, so you're going to want to use a wire puller or some type of similar device. Now, What I did was I used something different so that you could be innovative in the event that you don't have a wire puller on hand. And again, I'm showing you, you'll start from the bottom one and you'll come through the top end. So what I did was I actually took this metal stick that I had and I just used the painter's tape. And I actually just wrapped the painter's tape with the reverse light wire onto that metal stick. And it is a flexible metal stick. Again, this area is pretty tough, so you can you can have some leeway with it. You won't have to be concerned with actually damaging the rubber piece. So you can use your fingers and you can feel straight through. It's just awkward trying to get a wire through without a wire puller or some way to feed it. So what I'm doing right now, again, is I'm just trying to feed that actual metal stick that I have. And again, I have the reverse light wire attached to the metal stick. And I'm just trying to take my time and feed it through. You'll feel it. Just take your time. Do not get frustrated here. This could be a frustrating part. It might take you a little second depending on the device that you use, even if you're using a wire puller. But you can stretch out that rubber grommet piece. It's very durable. And you just take your time feeding through. What I did was I reached on the top end to where I could feel it, and I just kind of helped guide it through. Obviously, I'm using like a little metal stick, so it was only going to go straight through. It can't really get crimped up and bundled up in there. And as you can see, I got the metal stick through, and I made sure that I also got the wire through. It kind of slid down just a tad bit because I didn't tape it up that secure, but you get the point. So essentially just make sure your wire is good. It's good in my case. And then what I'm doing here is I have to end up releasing the tape, obviously. So I'm just trying to find where I wrapped it up so I can unravel it. I wanted to pull it through some more and get some more slack. Be generous with making sure you got plenty of wire through here. It will not hurt anything. Just pull as much as you can. And so what I did was, at this point in time, I just removed that stick, as you can see, got the wires through. And so now we just need to go ahead and focus on getting the tape off. If you didn't tape it up, you used a wire puller, go with that particular method. I just wanted to show you an inexpensive, or let's say if you didn't have access to certain tools. I like to do tutorials that show ways around not actually having the proper tools, if you want to call it that. I mean, what I used was proper in my opinion, but someone else may say, hey, that wasn't a proper tool. So I like to give people ideas just in case they don't have access to certain things. All right, so just bear with me. I'm just trying to get the tape off, and we'll proceed forward once I get done with that. Again, this is a real-time process. I did not do any significant editing to speed anything up. I want to show you in real time, but we got the tape off and the end of the connector is protected, so we're good to go. So again, you can pull some more wire through. You can see, and again, just make sure that it goes through that little rubber part. So what you're going to do now is place the connector up through behind like that metal bracket, the frame bracket. So that's what you'll see me doing. I was pointing to up behind the frame bracket, and you can see that wire at the top that's wrapped around. See where I just reached at? It'll come up that way, and there you go. All right, so now that we have that fed through, we want to go ahead and snap these, as you can hear, snap the grommet connectors back in. The top one is good. Now we're going to do the same thing with the bottom one. However, we need to do one step first. So what you're going to do is pull up the weather stripping, and then you can reach and pull underneath, as you can see. And then you're going to have the wire go down that way. All right. Basically what I'm doing is the actual hole that the bottom rubber grommet connector sits on. When we're talking about the frame hole, if you go down through that frame hole, it goes underneath your roof on the inside of the cabin, that piece that I just put my hand on to pull down earlier. So you want to feed the wires through the actual frame hole, and that's what I'm doing. That's one of my neighbor's dogs. I am working during the nighttime. So anyway, so see how when I pull the actual roof liner down, and I'm trying to show you the light as best as I can. When you go through the actual frame hole, the bottom part where that rubber grommet sits, as you can see, that is right up underneath your roof liner. Okay, so you just want to go ahead and pull all of that through. Okay, and now you can snap the bottom part of that rubber grommet connector back in. So once that's done, as you can see, what we need to do now is we want to go ahead and run the bottom cable. Okay, don't focus on the top cable at this point in time, and we're only talking about the reverse light cable here. You want to run the bottom cable all the way around the frame of the trunk area as I just showed you. And this is pretty easy to do. So all you have to do is essentially go around the frame and just run the wire up underneath the weather stripping all the way around. You can just feel it with your fingertips and just push it up, tuck it up in there nice and neat and clean. And just take your time, run it down, and just feed it all the way around. And this part is pretty easy. You can see how fast this actually goes too as well. This doesn't take you long at all to do. So at this point in time, what I was pointing at is showing you the weather strip around the roof liner. I'm just prying that back up so that I can get it from behind. Sometimes it'll get stuck underneath in between the gap that you pull down of the roof liner. So I just pulled it back out so I can make sure the roof liner is pushed back up. All right, so right now we have to remove these bolts right here. There should be 2 of them, as you can see. I just pointed to them. So you're gonna have to remove that in order to proceed forward. So this is an 8mm socket. That's what you're gonna need to remove those bolts. Now, I know some people use power tools. I have power tools as well. But like I said, I wanted to show you the actual manual way, the old school way, before we had these power tools. So you could take your socket, you can do it. Maybe if you want to use a power tool, by all means, be my guest and do it the way you prefer. Doesn't take a lot of muscle to loosen these bolts. As you can see, I just did a couple of turns and boom, you can remove it with your finger. And what I would do is when you remove the bolt, I would keep it in your little side tray in your trunk area. See, it only took me like, what, 2 or 3 turns? And then next thing you know, boom, you can release it with your fingers. It doesn't take much at all. We have that bolt. Again, keep it in the side tray area. Now, we have to take these particular pieces off right here that I'm pointing to. All right, so you want to make sure that the hook part is facing inside of the trunk area, and then there's little tabs here that you can see on the side where you can pop the cap off. Now that is a star bit, so you're gonna have to use a star tool in order to remove that. And I can't remember the exact size. It's one of the middle sizes. Here it is, the star tool. But if you have a star kit, it's gonna come in any basic star kit. So I was able to just use that inside of my socket. And at this point, as you can see, it wasn't taking that much effort to loosen it all, and you're able to just use your fingers. So that's the whole piece removed. So just put the star bit screw back in there and just set that again in the corner tray area as shown. That way it's easy to keep up with everything. And we're going to do the same thing over here on the left side. Pop the cover off, use your star bit. Same thing, we keep it in there in the corner of the tray area. So right now you could remove the cover completely, but it's not necessary, and that's why I didn't do it. It's your choice. If you do remove it, hey, it's not gonna make a difference. If you decide to leave it like I did, it's not gonna make a difference. It's flexible, but that's the middle areas where you would pull to remove it. So I just popped it loose, as you can hear. This is more than sufficient to move on to the next step, as you can see. So what we want to do now is take the wire, the reverse pony kit wire here that we ran. You want to continue to run it down, and then you're going to run it underneath that panel piece that you just took the bolts and screws out of. And when you get underneath the panel piece, you can feel exactly where to place the wire with your fingertips. You just need to have it under the panel piece. It doesn't have to go way over. You don't need it in the middle. It just needs to go underneath the panel piece. You'll feel like a big slot in the frame underneath the panel piece for it to just slide right in and go down. All right, so now that we have the reverse light wire down, what we want to do now is pull the cover up. As you can see here, again, it's very easy because you loosen the panel. You just want to go ahead and get that loose and get that out. And then what we're looking at here is this like grommet cover. Okay, that's what we're going to remove. And that's how we're going to feed the reverse brake light, or rather reverse light wire, down to the bottom of the car. So this is very easy. You can just grab it and remove it. I was trying to do the best that I could to show you the camera and do all this with one hand, as well as make sure we have proper lighting, but it's very easy to remove. See how I just pulled that up? And then just set that somewhere where you want to be. And then what you want to do is just feed the wire down through this hole that I'm pointing to. Just go ahead and feed as much as you can. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be concerned about overfeeding the wires. You can make adjustments and pull things up and down, but it's better to have it already down and have as much slack as you need while you're going to be working at the next step underneath the car. All right, so we're good there. So now we have to go up underneath the car. You may want some type of ramps. I'm pointing to the screws. I have an angle here with the way my garage and driveway works, so it gave me plenty of room. So you're going to need 10mm sockets to actually be able to remove the bottom bolts. Again, these bolts are not going to be on where you have to use a lot of muscle. You don't have to use a torque wrench or any of that for this entire job. And so what we're going to do now is just simply remove each of the bolts. Once you get them loose, you could pretty much just twist it, like hand loosen them. As you can see, I'm just using my fingers to twist the socket wrench. What I suggest doing is when you're on one side of the reverse light that you can see at the top of the screen, just take those bolts, sit them on one side of the car, and then when you get to the other side, take those bolts and sit them on the other side. And that's pretty much what you see me doing here. All right, that's what the bolts look like. So at this time, you might want to put something in between the cover and the bumper to give you that gap space as well as fit your light. And this is the cable that you're going to splice into. All right. So this is the wire that you ran through the bumper, the reverse light wire, and that's where we're going to tap everything into. So you just squeeze on there and you can remove the factory wire here. And what I'm trying to show you, it was a little difficult to do on camera, but you're going to tap into the green wire. Okay, just tap into the green wire only. All right, so at this time we're going to use our wire tap. You're going to just loosen the cap off, and you want to go ahead and feed your brake light harness or reverse light harness. My apologies. Your reverse light harness wire, you want to go ahead and feed that through. Okay, so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to feed it through the splicer. Make sure you put a generous amount through. Make sure that the ends of the wire are all together before you feed it through. Okay, and you see how I have a generous amount through on the other side. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put that other red cap on top of the actual reverse light wire. Going to tighten that up. Okay, and then when it's tight, you could tug on it. It's not going to come loose. All right. Now we're going to need to put the gray piece from the splicer kit onto the green wire. Again, green wire only. Do not tap into any other wire but that green wire. All right, my apologies for the camera angle. Again, it was difficult being in this space to show you on camera, but nonetheless, you can see that the little silver piece from the kit is on the green wire. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and twist the red part onto the gray part. And as you can see, it's not tapped into the purple. It's tapped into the green wire again. Only the green wire. I want to stress that just so that you don't make any mistakes. So you would just twist it tight from here. All right. And then once it's tight, you want to go ahead and snap that factory cable back in. Just make sure it's secure, and that's what we're checking to do. And so at this point, you're actually done with the connections with the reverse light. Now, I know some people say they don't want to do it. They think it might be too much work, but it's really not much more work at this point. Once you get down to this particular point, again, it's pretty easy. You just need to make sure you have some type of light source or maybe someone to help you. And so we're just putting the bolts back in at this time. Again, it's very easy. It doesn't take a lot of work. Again, some people may choose to use power tools. I just used a socket wrench. It didn't take that much to tighten. All right, so remember that little grommet piece that you pulled up? You're going to plug the hole back up. And it doesn't really take too much to get down in there, again, even with the wire. It's not going to crimp the wire or do anything. You just want to make sure that that grommet snaps back into place. You just check it. You want to make sure that it's secure. Just as I did. As you can see, I checked it and it's good to go. All right. So at this point in time, we're just going to go ahead and tuck the cover back up underneath that panel piece that we loosened from earlier. We're good to go. And then we're going to go ahead and take the holders, put that back in. Again, you're going to have to use your star bit tool and you're going to tighten it. Just make sure the screw goes back in, and they have slots underneath to make sure that it lines up perfectly. See? So everything will sit right where it's supposed to be. And that's all I'm doing. I'm just lining it up. And then you'll just go ahead and put the star bit screw in there. And then just use your tool to tighten it up. That was my radar detector. If you didn't see, it was actually connected to my phone, and I didn't realize it was still connected with the car being on, because I had opened up the car, and you get it, the power was still on. So again, just tighten it up. Then close the cover. You're good to go. And repeat this process for the other side. As you can see, I just use my fingers to get it tight enough, and then the socket can do the rest for the most part. put the cover back on, and you're good to go with these. Now we have to take those 8mm bolts and put those back on. Should be able to use your fingers to get them going. And then again, use either your power tool, or in my case, I have a socket wrench that I chose to use, and tighten those back up on each side. All right, we're good to go. And now at this point in time, because you have fastened everything back, you can go ahead and put all of your things back inside of your trunk area. So here is an example of how the cables would look and all of the connections. Feel free to pause here so you can be familiar with it. This is your reverse light. You're going to take this and connect it to this gray wire to this gray wire here that actually comes off of your pony that you installed. Okay, so those are connected. And then you're going to take this black wire, which is actually your tail light, and you're going to connect it to this wire right here. All right, give me 1 second to do that. All right, so everything is connected. At this time, all of your wires that you need to run and connect are essentially done. What we're going to do now is zip tie all of your cables and wires. You want to make sure that everything is tucked in nice and clean. You don't want any mishaps, any cables getting disconnected, and anything perhaps rattling by swinging around and moving around inside of your lift gate. So you can follow the example that I gave in terms of the locations where I decided to zip tie everything. You can use more zip ties, you can use less. Again, it's your choice, be my guest, but this is a guide, and essentially just follow it and you should be good to go. During this process, I deliberately left the straps of the zip ties so that you can see the locations of where I chose to zip tie everything. Again, this is a personal preference. You can use more, you can use less. But again, I wanted to leave those there at this particular point in time so that you can get an idea of where you could zip tie your particular cables and wires. You're mainly going to be following the factory wiring locations. That's essentially what you're going to be doing. This process, I could have easily fast forwarded through it, but again, I wanted to just show you how long it actually would take. It doesn't take long, but nonetheless, it's still a process that needs to be done correctly. So I just wanted to show you all because for many people, this is their very first time attempting to do this. And my apologies with the camera not actually showing the bottom portion, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You know where your cables are, you know where your cables are running, as you can see, so you'll know exactly where I'm at in terms of zip tying the cables. And so now you can see the bottom zip ties. You see where everything is, and everything is good to go. Now, this is a full view. You can see what's going on at this point in time. I'm going to go ahead and cut the strings or the excess off of the zip ties. You always want to leave at least a little bit so you could tighten it more if you needed to, or get a handle on it if you needed to go ahead and cut them back loose or what have you. This process is necessary to do because if you were to try to put your covers back on, you're going to notice that the extra straps would get in the way. So you definitely want to cut these and get them out the way so that when you install your covers and your panels and everything back on, it's going to be easy with no interference. All right, so that's what it looks like when everything has been cut and clean, as you can see. So what we're going to do is start with this first back middle panel, the one that has the light on it. All right, and just make sure you connect the light. That is the one cable that is hanging. All the other cables should be connected. So you want to go ahead and connect that to your panel piece as such. It literally slides right in to the spot. Then you just line everything up and you'll hear it snap into place as you begin to push everything up. I probably was a little extra there, but again, I wanted to be extra sure that I snapped all of the clips into place. So now you're going to take your side panel. Doesn't really matter which side. You're just going to take one of them and snap that back into place. Just make sure you line everything up on the outside. You got to make sure it goes over and it covers everything up It's clips on the outside of it, so you want to make sure it covers that outside part. When you go to place the panel piece on, you will see exactly what I mean. And so that's what I'm doing right now, making sure that it lines up and covers everything on the outside and the inside. And I'm just making sure everything is lined up again, because it's easy to get it off track where the outside part of your lift gate is not covering everything. So just make sure everything is lined up and covered. All right. At this point in time, we're going to the other side. I'm going to use the other panel. Again, doesn't matter which panel side you start with, just as long as you put both panels back on. Again, be very careful with these pieces to make sure that they're lined up correctly and they're covering the outside. And that's what you see me looking at before you snap them down, because they will snap into place and you'll have the outside part of the panel not covering everything that it's supposed to cover. So I'm just lining it up first, making sure everything is covered, and then it'll snap right into place. So if you start lining it up by covering the outside first and then move in, that's going to be the proper way to make sure that you have everything covered. Again, I could be extra with snapping those pieces in, but hey, that's just how I wanted to do it. I wanted to be sure every single clip was snapped in. And then you need to cover the bottom piece as shown. All right, you should be good to go at this point. Let's see what it looks like. It's looking good, man. That's looking good. That transformed that rear end. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and feel free to share this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.